Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
Can you please state and spell your name for the record?
Amanda Hanson, Hanson.
Are you employed?
I'm employed by Mayo Clinic.
What is your role with Mayo Clinic?
I am a family nurse practitioner and a psychiatric nurse practitioner at Mayo Clinic.
How long have you worked in that capacity with Mayo?
I've been a family nurse practitioner with Mayo for 11 years and 4 years as a psychiatric nurse practitioner.
I want to direct your attention to January 16th of 2023. Were you working in your capacity as a nurse with Mayo Clinic on that day?
I was.
Was a patient by the name of Alexavier Pedrin admitted?
He was brought into the clinic.
He was brought into the clinic.
Mm-hmm.
And was he brought into the clinic by Josie Dikeman?
He was.
What was Alexavier Pedrin brought into the clinic for?
Right leg pain.
Right leg pain?
Mm-hmm.
Were there tests done to examine the source of the right leg pain that Alexavier Pedrin was experiencing?
Yes.
Was there ultimately a diagnosis of a fracture made?
Yes.
Was that to a fracture to his right femur?
Correct.
As part of your role in this case, did you gather a medical history regarding Alexavier and when he started suffering this leg pain?
I did.
Who did you gather that medical history from?
From both Alex and from Josie.
Was the medical history that you gathered from, you said both Alex and Josie?
Correct.
Was that gathered with both of them together at the same time?
Yes, they were in the same room.
Okay, let's talk about the gathering of that medical history. What was reported to you?
Initially,
by the defendant, by Josie Dikeman.
by Josie. She said that he was accidentally thrown on the stairs by his sister.
Did the defendant say when the purported accidental fall was in relation to when he was being seen by you?
The day before.
The day before?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Did she report any other medical history regarding Alexavier and his leg pain?
Not that I recall.
Okay. You said you also talked to Alexavier, is that correct?
Correct.
Tell us about that.
I asked Alexavier what happened, and initially he told me that he fell down at school the day before. He slipped on the ice, and I clarified. I said, so you were at school the day before? Yes, and the day before was Sunday. So then he changed his story and said that his sister accidentally threw him down the stairs.
Did you notice anything with regards to Alexavier when he was making this report to you about how he hurt his leg?
Yes.
You do?
His voice was a little bit higher, and he continuously was looking at Josie. It seemed like for approval.
He's looking at the defendant?
Yes.
Okay. His initial report was a slip on the ice at school.
Correct.
Now, January 16th of 2023 would have been a Monday, is that correct?
I believe so. I would have to look at a calendar.
Okay. So the previous day would have been Sunday?
Correct, and that's what I had in my documentation.
Was there also a report of attending a birthday party at some point made by somebody?
Yes, I asked why they didn't come in right after the incident, and I believe it was Josie that said that they had a birthday party.
That they had a birthday party?
Mm-hmm. So that's
the report of this birthday party also being the day before on Sunday?
I would have to check my documentation.
Would you recognize your documentation if you saw it in court today?
Yes.
All right. I'm handing you what's been marked as State's Exhibit number 79. I'd ask you to review that. Let me know if you recognize that, and when you're done reviewing it, please.
Yes, this is my documentation.
And does your documentation record when the report of this birthday party was?
My documentation says they did not bring him in yesterday because they had a birthday party.
And yesterday would have been a Sunday, correct?
Correct.
So the report to you is that a birthday party took place on a Sunday?
Correct.
And that's why he wasn't brought in on the Sunday?
Correct.
Okay. Did you make any observations with regards to Alexavier and the amount of pain that he was in?
Initially, when he came in, he was crying. I did document that he was easily distracted by a cell phone.
Easily distracted by a cell phone?
Correct.
That would have been provided to him by an adult?
Correct.
Okay. At some point, did Alexavier's father arrive on scene?
He did.
Tell us about that.
I'm not sure what time in the appointment he arrived. He did not say anything while he was there.
Did you notice any difference in interaction between Alexavier's father and Alexavier and the defendant and Alexavier?
Objection relevance.
Sustained. I take it overruled. Go back. Go ahead.
Did you notice any difference between how the father interacted with Alexavier and how the defendant interacted with Alexavier?
From what I recall, the father didn't make any eye contact or speak while I was in the room.
Okay. And who were you dealing with predominantly when you were there?
Alex.
And who was doing all the communication in the room?
Alex and Josie and the children were communicating as well.
Okay. At some point during your meeting and your discussion with the defendant, did the defendant's tenor change?
Yes.
Tell us about that.
His voice became high-pitched when he was telling me about being thrown down the stairs accidentally. His story was inconsistent at first, and then he seemed to be looking to Josie almost for approval and made statements like, go ahead.
Strike. Okay. Sustained for part of the answer, which is
Okay.
Which part?
looking for approval.
Looking for approval, okay. I think that already came in, but the statements that you're taking from Alexavier are for a medical history, is that correct?
Correct.
And that's to document how the injury happened and make a diagnosis relative to the injury, is that fair?
Correct.
Okay. I think my question may have confused you a little bit because I said I was talking about the defendant and you were telling me what Alexavier said,
Okay.
Who's the child. At some point, did the defendant's demeanor change during the course of your interactions with the defendant?
Yes, when we talked about admission.
When you talked about admission?
Yes.
You're shaking your head, yes?
Yes.
Tell us about that.
With his femur fracture, I had contacted Rochester Orthopedics, pediatric orthopedics, and they recommended that he be transferred to Rochester to basically fix the fracture. And when we talked about transferring, she became agitated.
Above and beyond the fracture that Alexavier had, did you note any injuries to the outside of his body?
According to my documentation, if I can just review that.
Yes, please, if that helps refresh your recollection.
On my exam, he had 2 old-appearing scabbed areas on the right lateral eyebrow, which appeared old, but Mom says they were from yesterday. And he also had light blue bruising to his left flank.
To his left flank?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Are you aware or not at the time that you were seeing Alexavier that there was some concern with the fracture being potentially an inflicted injury versus an accidental injury?
Can you clarify the question?
Yes. Was there some concern that the fracture that Alexavier suffered may have been caused by another person versus a fall?
Yes, there was concern.
Okay. And was that going to be examined further as well?
Yes.
And did that cause a change in the defendant's demeanor?
Yes.
There was a discussion about Child Protective Services?
Yes, I did notify them that I contacted police and Child Protective Services as a mandatory reporter.
And that had an impact on the defendant's demeanor as well?
Yes.
Was Alexavier continued to be treated at Mayo, or was he taken somewhere else ultimately?
He was ultimately transferred to Gunderson.
And do you know why he was transferred to Gunderson?
We could not sustain, or we could not get transportation to Rochester via ambulance.
Okay, and so he was taken to Gunderson for that potential purpose?
Correct.
All right. I would move State's Exhibit number 79 into evidence.
Objection. Be received.
That's all the questions I have. Mr. Bowles, do you want her to have continue to have this?
Sure. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Now, you work at Mayo, right, in Onalaska?
Correct.
You're a certified nurse practitioner in the Mayo Health System,
Correct.
and you are trained on Mayo's mission and values,
Correct.
Those values guide your clinical judgment, fair?
Fair.
Those values guide how you assess a patient's care, fair?
Fair.
Those values guide how you engage with a patient's family members.
Correct.
And in suspected abuse cases, you must balance child safety with avoiding false accusation, correct?
Correct.
False accusations can have devastating consequences, even if they're later found to be unfounded, right?
Correct.
And you would agree that you should not assume abuse before confirming facts, right?
Correct.
You should avoid letting bias influence medical judgment, is that right?
Correct.
And Mayo's mission statement sets forth its core values: respect, integrity, compassion, healing, teamwork, innovation, excellence, stewardship. Does that sound familiar?
It does.
Respect, that means to treat patients and their families with dignity, correct?
Correct.
And integrity is defined as adhering to the highest standards of professionalism, ethics, and personal responsibility. Fair?
Fair.
And medical staff at Mayo are always expected to demonstrate the highest standards of professionalism when they're working with patients and with their families. Fair?
Fair.
And medical staff at Mayo are always expected to treat patients with dignity and families as well, right?
Right.
Staff are expected to treat patients and their families with dignity, even if the staff has concerns about abuse in the home. Is that fair?
That is fair.
Because it's important to ensure that your patients are not, in fact, it's those situations, strike that. Those situations require heightened professionalism and objectivity. Fair?
Fair.
Because it's important to ensure that your patients are not endangered by abuse. But it's also important to ensure that the parents of a patient are not falsely accused of abuse. Fair?
Fair.
And even just an accusation, as we've indicated, can ruin someone's life. Correct?
Correct.
So it's important to remain objective when assessing concerns for child abuse.
Correct.
It's important to approach every case where there is a concern for abuse without already having concluded that a particular parent has abused a child. Correct?
Correct.
Now, you helped coordinate the process of Alexavier being transferred from Mayo to Gunderson, correct?
Correct.
And I believe it was your testimony on direct that Josie became agitated or reacted negatively to the prospect of Alexavier initially going to Rochester. Is that fair?
That is fair.
Are you aware the family lives in the La Crosse area?
I am.
And Rochester is quite some distance away. It requires transportation, and there's a distance between those two locations, correct?
Correct.
So it would not be unreasonable to want Alexavier to go to a location that's closer to where they live. Fair?
Fair.
They could go visit him and things like that if he's hospitalized for a period of time. Correct?
Correct.
Yeah. When you were coordinating the transfer process, you had several conversations with other medical providers at Mayo and Gunderson. Do you remember that?
I do.
And some of those conversations were over the phone. Is that a yes?
Yes.
And those phone conversations were recorded. Are you aware of that?
Yes, I am.
And one of those recorded calls includes a conversation you had with Dr. William Shaughnessy, or Bill Shaughnessy. You know him, right?
Not personally.
You've interacted with him.
Correct.
And you're a professional colleague of his.
Correct.
And you're aware that he's a pediatric orthopedic surgeon, correct?
Correct.
And the pediatric orthopedic surgeons are the ones who are the experts at diagnosing and treating ailments of the bone, including fractures.
Correct.
I'm going to read to you the following quote and ask you a question about it. The quote is, "There is a history of abuse. They never put her in jail, and she went on to have a lot of kids, so she's got 4 kids in the room with her today." Do you recall making that statement?
I do not recall that.
Would it help if you were to look at a transcript of your conversation with
It would.
Dr. Shaughnessy?
Six five. Thank you.
I'm going to hand you an exhibit 265. And I'll give you this, and I can point to you where that particular passage is. On page 4, I believe. And if you look, let's just review that page. And if you look at lines 174 through 183, that's the reference I'm talking about. Ms. Hanson, have you reviewed the section I pointed you to?
I have.
And does that refresh your recollection of that conversation?
It does.
You agree that you stated there was a history of abuse. They never put her in jail, and she went on to have a lot of kids, so she's got 4 kids in the room with her today. You said that, right?
I did, but it was referring to the sentence or the paragraph before.
Pardon?
It was referring to the paragraph before when we were talking about another injury.
What I'm asking you is, did you say that?
I did say it.
And you were talking about Josie Dikeman, correct?
Correct.
And in that statement, you falsely assert that Josie has a history of abuse.
No, that is not what I asserted.
Okay. So you're unaware that Josie accepted responsibility for neglect as a 19-year-old addict and successfully completed drug court?
I am not aware of that.
Okay. And are you unaware that both she and the child's father were convicted of neglect?
I am not aware of that.
And abuse, that's not the same as neglect, is it?
Not exactly the same.
Abuse is, I mean, neglect is serious, but abuse is a whole nother matter entirely, right?
So I believe that in my
Is that a yes or
statement,
no?
abuse is not the same as neglect.
And yet you falsely state that she has a history of abuse and that you wish she had been in prison so that she could not continue having children. Is that a fair assessment of what you said?
That is not what I said.
Would you agree with me that that statement does not reflect someone who has kept an open mind?
That is not correct.
Would you agree with me that this statement does not demonstrate respectfulness?
That is not. I don't agree with that.
Would you agree that that statement does not demonstrate professionalism?
It is not.
It does not, or you do not agree?
I do not agree.
Now, you had no idea what was going on behind closed doors in that household, did you?
No.
But you had already concluded that she had abused Alexavier, right? Yes, no?
Can you repeat the question?
You had already concluded that she had abused Alexavier. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Now, you had spoken to some timeline confusion and children's statements. You relied in statements from a young child, and there was an indication that there was a fall at the school the day before, correct?
Correct.
That was inconsistent. Obviously, Sunday, you don't have school. Right. Correct?
Correct.
But you did not independently verify the timeline, right?
Can you repeat the question?
You did not independently verify the timeline of all of the events, did you?
I asked Alexavier about the timeline.
So you didn't independently determine. Sometimes kids can be confused. Sometimes they mix things up, correct?
Correct.
And you did not determine when the injury actually occurred, did you?
I asked when the injury occurred, and he said the day before.
But you did not independently confirm that or corroborate that, did you?
No.
Now, you also testified that you were suspicious of, strike that. You observed scabs on the child's face, correct?
Correct.
And you testified that they were not fresh, possibly several days old?
Correct.
And you did not determine when those injuries occurred, correct?
Correct.
You did not determine what caused them, right?
Correct.
You did not determine whether they were related to the leg injury, correct?
Correct.
Now, there was a displaced femur fracture that was diagnosed, correct?
Correct.
And that was the acute fracture that he was being treated for when he came to your clinic, correct?
Correct.
And a femur fracture can occur accidentally. You're aware of that.
Correct.
And you initially believed that there were some older fractures, and I think that came from the radiology report. Is that right?
Correct.
And are you aware that later review determined that those findings were not, in fact, fractures?
That's what the radiology report said, yes.
Okay. And that was done in consultation with the pediatric orthopedist, right?
I would have to look at the records.
Perhaps this might be a time to play that video, but I can also, we were talking about Dr. Peterson.
Not today.
Okay. Okay. So we stated you believe there were older fractures, and you later determined that those, doctors later determined that those findings were not fractures. And you don't remember that?
That was outside of the scope of my clinical practice.
And if it was the case that pediatric orthopedic surgeons all concluded that those other potential healing fractures were in fact developmental conditions, you would have no basis to overrule those judgments, would you?
That's outside the realm of my clinical practice.
However, you did see this radiology report that was amended, right?
I did see that.
And it stated that after review, the findings in the right inferior pubic ramus may be developmental in etiology, right?
Correct.
Meaning not abuse,
Correct.
not an old healing fracture. Correct?
Correct, but you would have to compare to the other side.
Right. If indicated, comparison with the left ischio may be helpful for further evaluation, correct?
Correct.
And the orthopedist did that, right?
Not to my knowledge.
Now, you diagnosed no abdominal pain, right?
Correct.
No neck or back pain.
Correct.
No concerning bruising beyond normal childhood bruises, right?
He had the left flank bruising.
So no concerning bruising behind normal childhood bruises?
I did not investigate the left flank bruising. That was fresh.
And you don't know how that happened?
I do not.
Kids can get bruises just playing, right?
Correct.
Now, you contacted CPS after the x-ray, right?
Correct.
And, whenever there's a concern for non-accidental trauma, it's better safe to report if there's a concern, right?
Correct.
And reporting to CPS does not mean that abuse occurred, right?
Correct.
And CPS investigates both abuse and neglect.
Correct.
You also called police because you were unsure of the situation. Is that right?
Correct.
So let's talk about your interpretation of some of the behavior that you observed. You considered it a red flag that children cried during the visit. Is that right?
I don't know that that would be a red flag. That would be normal behavior.
Okay. Yes, children often cry in medical settings, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you indicated that Josie became upset when CPS was called. Is
Correct.
that your impression? Now, reacting emotionally to a serious accusation like that does not mean someone is guilty, does it?
No.
Someone who is falsely accused of abuse would be upset as well.
Correct.
You never talked to Alex about whether he felt safe at home.
I did not.
You never asked Josie if she and Alex were safe at home, did you?
I did not.
You had no idea that Josie has multiple traumatic brain injuries, correct?
Correct.
You had no idea if Josie suffered from any conditions, including TBIs, that would affect how she reacts to stressful situations, correct?
Correct.
And you would agree that a woman who's being abused by a male partner might be reluctant to say so.
Correct.
And so is it fair to say you assumed the worst about Miss Dikeman because of her history?
No, that is not fair.
But you did make no effort to inquire into Mr. Pedrin's history of domestic or child abuse, correct?
Correct.
Now, I believe your direct testimony, you indicated that you noticed Alexavier sort of changing tones when he would speak about certain topics, right?
Correct.
And that at one point his voice had became higher, and you found that suspicious, right?
Yes,
Now, in fact, you gave an interview to law enforcement, didn't you?
I did.
And they asked you everything you know and can remember about what happened that day, right?
Correct.
And you were trying to be complete, right?
Right.
And that was when these events were fresh in your mind, right?
Correct.
And gosh, today I think, we're at least 3 years away from that, right?
Correct.
And so what you knew at that time was the freshest perception that you had, right?
It was.
So let's just go through what I think are the conclusions here. You cannot say what caused Alexavier's leg injury, right?
Correct.
You cannot say that it was caused by intentional abuse,
Correct.
right? You certainly cannot say that Josie Dikeman intentionally fractured Alexavier's femur, right?
Correct.
Thank you.
You're not an investigator, are you?
I am not.
You make referrals to CPS and law enforcement so that they can investigate, is that correct?
Correct.
So when defense counsel asks you all these questions about whether or not you looked into it, that's not your job, is it?
Correct.
Defense counsel asked you a lot of questions about the prior case and the comments that you made on the recorded call, correct?
Correct.
You're familiar with that prior case, correct?
Correct.
And just because someone is convicted of child neglect does not mean that the
Objection,
child involved.
speculation.
Said she's familiar with the case.
This is outside the scope. There's a stipulation as to this.
Nah, they opened it.
They asked about neglect.
If she was
Move on.
convicted.
I'm going to sustain the objection. Move on.
You're aware of the injuries that child had, correct?
Which child are we referring to?
Haley Tapscott, the child involved in the child neglect case.
Objection, this is far outside the scope of what she.
I can ask, the defense has opened the door somewhat. I'm not going to let it go on for much. Go ahead.
You're aware of the injuries that child had, correct?
I am.
And you're aware that those injuries were indicative of abuse.
Yes.
Sometimes you can find abusive injuries and not figure out who did it.
Correct.
That was the history that you were aware of in the context of making that phone call, is that correct?
Correct.
That history in the context of a child with a femur fracture, correct?
Can you clarify that?
Yes, the previous medical history and case, and then you have Alexavier admitted with a femur fracture, correct?
Correct.
And you have him looking at the defendant when he's providing his history.
Correct.
The defendant told you this party was 1 day previous.
Objection, leading.
Did the defendant tell you the party was 1 day previous?
I did not specifically ask about the day. I believe they said yesterday, but I do not recall.
If it was 2 days prior, would that be concerning?
Absolutely.
And if it's reported that he couldn't walk at that party 2 days prior, would that even be more concerning?
Yes.
Thank you.
Recross.
Yes.
So just on the topic of whether or not the fracture could have borne weight. Okay. Now, Alexavier was diagnosed with a transverse fracture, right? This was an acute transverse fracture, right?
I don't believe it was transverse. I would have to look at the x-ray report.
It was a complete fracture.
It was a complete fracture, displaced.
Those certainly can be painful, right?
Correct.
Now, fractures can also be non-displaced when they initially occur, right?
Correct.
They can be incomplete.
Correct.
And those types of injuries can bear some weight, correct?
Correct.
And they can later become more aggravated, correct?
Correct.
And are you familiar with, are you aware that Dr. Shaughnessy believed that this injury could...
Calls for hearsay.
Well, these would be statements made for the purpose of medical diagnosis and treatment.
Overruled, go ahead.
Are you aware that Dr. Shaughnessy believed that this injury could initially have been non-displaced or incomplete?
I would have to look at that documentation again.
But if he did believe that, you would defer to him, right?
I would defer to him, yes.
And that would explain why somebody's injury might initially be less aggravated and then later appear to be much more aggravated, correct?
Possibly, correct.
Thank you.
Any,
Just one question. The best way to diagnose the severity of the fracture, or one of the best ways, is to look at when the child's symptomatic, i.e. when the child can't walk. Isn't that right?
Objection beyond the scope of her expertise.
no, overruled, go ahead.
Would that be right?
I would look more at when the child complained of pain
Pain
in conjunction with not being able to walk.
and inability to walk would also be a significant factor?
Correct.
That's all I have.
Anything else? All right, thank you, you may step down. Oh, thank you. Call your next witness.
State calls Kim Balcars to the stand. Judge, while she's coming in, can Attorney Bowles and I approach?
Sure.
Attorney Bowles, are you doing this?
Do you solemnly swear the testimony given in this matter shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Good afternoon. Can you please state and spell your name for the record?
Kimberly Ford, Kimberly, Ford, Ford.
I used the last name Balcars. I forgot you got married. Is that correct?
Correct.
I
yes.
apologize for that. And congratulations.
Thank you.
Where do you work?
At Gunderson by Amplify,
And what is your role with Gunderson?
registered nurse in the pediatric department.
How long have you worked as a registered nurse in the pediatric department of Gunderson?
Since 2018.
I want to direct your attention to January 16th of 2023. Were you working in your capacity as a pediatric nurse with Gunderson on that day?
Yes, I was.
And did you receive information about a patient coming your way by the name of Alexavier Pedrin?
Correct.
Okay. Did the initial information that you received regarding Alexavier Pedrin indicate that he had a femur fracture that was concerning for non-accidental trauma?
Correct.
Tell us about your initial interactions with both Alexavier and the family when they arrived.
On arrival, Josie Dikeman came off a little bit defensive. She was under the impression that Alexavier's leg would just be casted and they would be going home. So she was upset that they were getting admitted upstairs in the pediatric department. Alexavier was pretty quiet and let Josie answer most all of our questions for him.
Did you attempt to pose questions to Alexavier?
Yes.
What were those questions regarding?
Actually, Dr. Glowacki was the one asking questions to Alexavier in the room to start. And when she asked how Alexavier hurt his leg, he said that he slipped on ice at school yesterday. I think that was our first initial red flag because that wasn't what was told to us from the receiving hospital. And also it was Monday, so yesterday was Sunday on that day. When asked if his sister was present when he slipped on the ice, since that's what he said, he looked to Josie for, to answer that question for him. And Josie said he slipped on the ice at school and hurt his leg, so he was walking slow down the stairs and his sister pushed him since he was going slow.
Did the defendant or Ms. Dikeman give an indication of when this push down the stairs occurred?
I do not recall.
You do not recall the timing of that?
Correct.
Okay, that was the history that was provided to you by both Alexavier and the defendant? A slip on the fall of ice and then a push down the stairs?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
And there was no, I think I just asked this, but there's no indication of timing relative to when that fall down the stairs occurred?
I don't recall exactly. I know they had said that they went to like a birthday party between the fall and coming to the hospital, so I'm not sure if that was like the same day or the day before.
Do you recall when the birthday party was or when you were told the birthday party was?
I do not recall.
Okay. Tell us about Alexavier's demeanor and what you observed of Alexavier's demeanor while he was at the hospital.
Alexavier, like I said, he was very quiet and like looked to Josie for answers to questions. He didn't like to answer our questions without looking to her first or letting her answer for him.
What about the defendant's demeanor? How would you describe Josie Dikeman's demeanor?
Defensive, not typical for having an injured child in the hospital. In my now many years of experience, usually parents are like anxious that their child is there and very grateful that for the care that is being provided. I felt right away that Josie was like blocking me from everything that I wanted to do or questioning everything that I wanted.
Objection, this is speculation and not relevant.
Overruled.
You can continue answering.
Okay. Yeah, so I would say Josie's demeanor was defensive and not protective of the child or.
She asked you for your name?
Yes, Josie asked me for my last name while writing on a legal pad, and I told her that I didn't have to give her that information to care for her child.
Did you and Dr. Glowacki together document any other injuries on the outside of Alexavier's body?
Dr. Glowacki, when doing her skin assessment that we do on all children on admission, she took many photos of Alexavier's body.
And you were present for that, is that fair? If you remember?
I don't remember.
Okay, better to talk to her about that.
Yes,
Okay.
I would prefer that.
Last question I want to ask you. Tell us a little bit about what you remember about the level of pain that Alexavier was in when you saw him on January 16th, 2023.
I feel like I can't speak to the level of pain. What sticks out in my mind is that Josie declined me giving any pain medications to Alexavier.
Objection, this is not responsive to the question. Strike that.
Sustain.
Okay.
Chuck, go ahead.
Why did you want to give Alexavier pain medication?
Because his leg was broken. If I had a broken leg, I would want some pain medication on board.
I assume above and beyond his leg being broken and it being a displaced fracture, that you were, if you wanted to give him pain medication, were you making observations that he was in pain?
Correct.
And that would help alleviate the pain that he was in?
Correct.
And you informed the defendant that you wanted to give Alexavier pain medication?
Correct.
And the response to that was what?
No.
Okay. Thank you very much. I have no further questions.
Okay, Cross?
Oh, sorry.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I understand that you were the night shift nurse. Is that right?
Correct.
And so your job that night was giving bedside nursing care, not forensic investigation, right?
Correct.
And you would defer to the pediatric orthopedist on questions regarding diagnosis and treatment of fractures, right?
Correct.
That's just not a determination that you're in a position to make, right?
Correct.
And before Alex arrived, you were told there were concerns of non-accidental trauma, right?
Correct.
And you understood that there was an X-ray describing this injury as concerning, right?
Correct.
And you were told that CPS was already involved before the family arrived.
Correct.
And so you were prepared for this involving abuse concerns before you met Josie.
Yes.
Now, you testified that Josie was upset when she arrived at the hospital.
Correct.
And she believed that she had been told Alex would only need a cast and then could leave.
Yes.
Now, you explained that there was uncertainty. It could be a splint. It could require surgery.
Yes.
And surgical intervention, that can be serious, right?
Yes.
So Josie's not a medical expert, right? And medical diagnoses and treatments can be hard for the average person to understand. Is that fair?
Yes.
And are you aware that she has low cognitive functioning?
Nope.
And she was reacting to a situation that, in her mind, had started to escalate, right?
Okay.
Would that be fair? She was reacting to a situation that seemed to be escalating?
Can't speak on that for her.
Well, there was a situation that was initially, it could have been one way or the other, a splint, go home, or surgery and be hospitalized, right?
Right.
So that was an escalating response to this injury.
Okay.
And so she was reacting to that. Is that fair?
I'm not sure what she was reacting to. I feel like I can't speak to that.
But this was the context in which you had that conversation with her, right?
Yes.
Now, so Josie certainly was, it would be understandable to be upset if you're accused of abuse, falsely accused, right?
Yeah, I would think so.
And did you ever pull Josie aside to ask if she felt safe at home?
No.
How about Alex?
We asked those questions to kids when no one else is in the room, and he was not alone on my shift, so I did not get to ask Alex that.
Okay. Now, you noted some abrasions that were already healing, and you described some bruising, right?
Correct.
And you believe that the bruises were in different stages of healing?
Me and Dr. Gowalki both
I'm
made that
asking if
conclusion.
you believed that.
Yes, I did.
And are you aware that bruise appearance and color progression is highly variable and not precise?
Yeah.
And bruises can develop and inconclusive and reliably. The studies showing bruise imaging studies show that bruising cannot reliably be correlated with healing color and timing.
I'm going to object. I don't know if she's familiar with these studies.
Sustained.
Are you familiar that you cannot scientifically date a bruise just by looking at the color?
Never looked into it. Never studied bruises.
Now, Alex initially told you that he had slipped on ice at school, right?
Correct.
And Josie said that he had fallen down the stairs.
Correct.
And his sister admitted to pushing him, right?
His sister was not present.
Oh. Are you aware that she admitted to pushing him?
No. No, never talked to her.
And you reported Alex looked to Josie before answering questions.
Correct.
And it's common for children to look at a parent before speaking to a stranger, particularly in a stressful environment, right?
Correct.
And being in a hospital, being asked a number of questions by strangers, that could be stressful for a kid, right?
Correct.
But you consider that a red flag, as you indicated.
Yes. I mean, we're trained to.
Yeah. And certainly, you know, as a caregiver and somebody who treats children, it's always safer to report abuse rather than to not report abuse if you are concerned, right?
Absolutely.
But that does not mean that abuse actually occurred.
Correct.
And if abuse did occur, it doesn't mean we can determine who caused that, right?
Correct.
Now, you described Josie as defensive and she was intervening in your care.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, the record needs to be clear. Is that a yes?
Yes.
And she was taking notes on a yellow notepad, is that right?
Correct.
She asked you for your last name,
Correct.
and that to you felt threatening, perhaps, or is that what that landed like?
Yes. I've never had anybody ask me that at work before. They don't need to know that information for me to care for their child.
But she said she felt accused when seeking care, is that right?
Yes.
And in terms of writing things down, you know, if you have cognitive limitations, maybe recording your recollections at the time might be something you would want to do, right?
Fair?
Would that be a fair assessment?
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you this. In this day and age with WebMD and the wide open internet where parents can educate themselves, is it sometimes a source of frustration when medical providers feel like their judgment or care is being questioned by a parent?
I feel like that's more common now than it used to be.
That can be a real source of frustration, right?
Sure.
Because you've got lots of kids to take care of.
Correct.
And, you know, your time is valuable and it has to be, you know, split by all of the different cases, all of the different admissions, right?
Correct.
Did you ever happen to see what she was documenting?
No.
And with the CPS investigation, that's, you know, a legal process, right?
Correct.
And so recording what you think or perceive or are learning can help document the progression of that investigation. Is that fair?
Yeah.
And you would agree being accused of abuse is stressful, right?
I would agree.
Reacting emotionally to a serious accusation like that doesn't mean someone is guilty, does it?
No.
Someone who is falsely accused would be upset as well, right?
Right?
Now, we understand that Alex was not spoken to. He apparently didn't have any alone time while you were caring for him. Is that fair?
Yes.
And we've established that you're not familiar with Josie's history of multiple TBIs or whether she had suffered PTSD or any other condition that would affect how she reacts to stressful situations.
I would not know that, no.
Okay. And would you agree that a woman who is being abused by a male partner sometimes would be reluctant to be forthcoming about what's happening in the house?
Sorry, can you ask that again?
Would you agree that a woman who is being abused by a male partner sometimes might be reluctant to talk about what's happening in that house?
Yeah.
Especially if the abuser was present?
Correct.
So, you know, you rely on what other folks tell you is your job, that no one person can do this job, right? It's a group effort.
Sorry, can you ask that again?
You rely on other people's representations to you, other colleagues, staff. You rely on their representations because, you know, this is a team effort and you have to rely on your colleagues, right?
Correct.
And you believed Alex's initial statement was in the doctor's notes, correct?
Sorry, what are you asking?
Did you learn a lot of what happened from the doctor's notes? About the case? Did you learn about the case by reading the doctor's notes about what had occurred prior to his arrival?
Like from the other hospital, or what are you at?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying is you were reading the medical records and establishing your knowledge based on what was put in some of those notes, right?
No, I received a phone call from the other facility letting us know their concerns.
Just basic conversations mostly?
Yes.
Okay. And so it'd be fair to say, though, that significant parts of your testimony were dependent on statements by others and not firsthand knowledge on your part. Is that fair?
Which others are you talking about?
Well, I'm saying that some of the statements that you received were secondhand, is that right?
I just got a brief report from the other hospital
You were
stating their concerns.
You're obviously concerned, that's legitimate, right? But that was
Correct.
from what you had been reported, right?
I had a fair warning that others were concerned, but I had a lot of concerns of my own.
Now, did you have any knowledge of the radiology report or the impressions of the radiologist?
Yes,
Okay. And are you aware that some of the initially concerning findings were later determined to be developmental conditions?
Judge, I will stipulate that the original belief that there was a pubic fracture was found to be an abnormality and was ultimately ruled not to be a fracture.
As well as
I'll
the
stipulate to that for every witness.
as well as the tibia findings? Yes.
I don't think he asked about the tibia findings. I want to review that to make sure, but
Those were included in the constellation of findings in the radiology report.
So, okay, just if she was aware of them or not.
Okay.
And they were amended, we all agree that they were later amended, so.
Are you aware that the pediatric orthopedist at Mayo, Dr. Shaughnessy, believed that the injury could be consistent with a fall?
nope, that was not what I was told.
So you were not told that that this orthopedist believed that it could be consistent with a fall? You just weren't aware of that? Okay.
I wasn't aware, nope.
So you weren't aware that, did you know Dr. Peterson, John Peterson?
As an employee, yes,
And he was a very well-respected pediatric orthopedic surgeon at Gunderson, is that right?
correct,
And sadly, he's passed away last year.
correct.
But he was a renowned, he was certainly a well-respected expert.
Judge, I'm going to object to him testifying to the reputation of another doctor. If you want to put in reputation evidence, do it, but it should come in through him.
We'll hear from him. I'll move on.
Okay.
Okay. And are you familiar with Colton Wagner?
No,
Thank you. I have nothing further.
Okay, any redirect?
Just briefly, you were asked a number of questions about domestic violence and how people react to domestic violence, correct?
correct,
This wasn't involving domestic violence, right?
no,
This didn't involve anything with regards to the defendant being a victim of something, did it?
no,
And if the defendant has concerns about a TBI and you're not aware of her TBI, she could also tell you about that, right?
correct,
It's not your responsibility to find everything you don't know about somebody. Is that fair?
correct.
You were asked questions about what may have been stressful for Alexavier when he was in the room, correct?
Yes,
We don't know what was going on in Alexavier's mind, do we?
nope,
Those are all questions that are made to speculate about what he may have been feeling at that time when you were seeing him, correct?
correct,
Now, another thing that we could speculate about is maybe he was the victim of child abuse and the abuser was in the room and he didn't want to talk, right?
Sustain, and you say it's speculation, so I'd ask you not to ask sustain. Go ahead. Any recross? Any recross? Nope. All right. Thank you, Maida. Sit down. I hope you have exhibits and stuff.
thank you.